and welcome all to Trendz on the SABC News channel for the very best of showbiz and entertainment news out of South Africa, the diaspora and internationally. My name of course is Ray Phiri and happy that you could join me on this little trip we do every Saturday from 12 o'clock midday. And hey, it's officially the start of spring season for us here, so let's all be sunshine filled to others and especially to ourselves in each and every one of our quests for awesomeness. On Twitter we are at Trendz on SABC. Our first story for today, though, is not so very sunny. It's regarding, an incident we all know about now. Pretoria High Girls School that's gone viral across all social media networks this week and it sparked outrage across the country and even internationally. The school's hair policy, which is said to have now been amended, has been viewed as racist because it did not accommodate for African ethnic hairstyles. Now, we do all know that in corporate circles, weaves are more accepted than dreadlocks, for example, and that afros, bantu knots and braids are some of the hairstyles considered not to be appropriate by many. And hey, shout out to 13-year-old Zuleika Patel, and now there is a black girl who rocks. But then the question is, what is considered appropriate? So Trendz visited a hairstylist who specializes in ethnic hair to give us trendy tips on how to style hair naturally.
Western culture has gained prominence over the past few decades, with many Africans choosing to take a more Eurocentric approach to their looks, losing their natural identity to other cultures. Now African women are once again realizing the beauty within their own hair, but are being ridiculed for it. Zuleika Patel of Pretoria Girls High is one of those girls who wore a neat afro to school and was told it was inappropriate. We got in touch with Mr. Dread's Jabu Stone, who has over the past 20 years advocated for both men and women to go natural, to tell us his thoughts on the appropriateness of young Zuleika's hair at school.
That hair is natural as it could be. That is why I'm saying now, I don't understand who says the hair is not natural. Hence I've got a problem when somebody comes and who doesn't have that kind of hair comes and tell me that my hair is not natural. Who is he? Does he have the same hair as mine? Or does he have the hair that is straight and can put a ponytail? I can't do a ponytail on my hair unless I do locks. And then I twist my hair outside. That young lady there, she's got beautiful hair. The hair is so beautiful and it's an afro. So that is why I'm saying, I've got a problem with that. Those are our children. We need to enhance and build that confidence, that self-esteem based on their hair. They must not be undermined.
Stone has created an entire brand pinnacle to removing the stigma attached to dreads or African locks. He gave us some insight into managing both your afro and the dreadlocks.
The type of hair Sean is busy with now, this is a real natural hair. Now, there's different options in this type of hair. It's either you comb the hair, you apply a spray which will detangle the hair. It's a detangling spray. You apply that spray and then after that you can comb the hair and then it gives you a beautiful shaped, hair. Or you do have another option. You take the same natural hair because the Afrocentric hair stretches, when you pull it away from the scalp, it stretches much better, much longer. Now, what Sean is doing now is putting rollers, So by putting that rollers, you give an option of a different hairstyle on the very same hair without putting any chemicals or any straighteners. You play around. We twist these locks towards the clockwise direction, and the growth, you can see, it grows forever. It doesn't stop growing.
It's real hair.
It's real hair. It's not added. This is not added. This is not added. It's your own hair. And trust me, this hair, I'm sure you got about what, 5 years or 10 years with your hair? How long?
I'm thinking 5 years.
5 years? And 10 years from now, this hair will grow longer. That is why I said African hair, don't stop growing. It grows forever.
As Stone would say, after all, African locks is the oldest hairstyle to be found on the continent. And there must definitely be something wrong with the fact that they are regarded as the alternative.
A pioneer in dreadlocks, that's Mr. Jabu Stone. Thank you so very much for that. Now, ladies, at a recent party in New York aimed to dispel the myth that tea parties in particular are all about idle chit-chat between women. Now, the afternoon was a collaboration between the YWCA and one young woman looking to counter the negative portrayal of women of color in the media. Our girl in New York, Mimi, was out there and she has the story.
Isn't just any group of New York ladies who lunch. It's a gathering of socially conscious women of diverse backgrounds looking to connect over conversations about some controversial topics. It's the kind of collective filmmaker and journalist Asha Boston set out to represent with her project, The Dinner Table.
The Dinner Table is a 5-part documentary series that's aimed to change the perception of women of color in media, especially black women, because when it comes to the media images that are shown of us on reality TV, we see something that we know is not very true.
Asha says through community outreach, The Dinner Table has grown into more of a movement.
We've also started hosting live events where we bring middle school and high school and college students into a room with professionals for a night of very intimate networking and dinner and talks about identity.
Much like at this mother-daughter tea party hosted by the YWCA to celebrate 96 years of women's right to vote in the U.S. and modern feminism.
I'm so into the empowerment of women, and especially young women, in the climate that we're going through right now, and just the whole black girl magic and everything happening on social media and just in society in general. So I love to support. I'm glad to be here.
Diamond Craig, who runs a nonprofit that helps connect young women with professional mentors, said the afternoon's talks were challenging but productive.
Very impactful. We brought up a lot of different topics that should be discussed, that a lot of young women should be aware about, such as immigration, college equity, gender violence. I think it's something that's very necessary.
Talking about issues like domestic violence, pay equality, and immigration policy can be tough. And the women at the YWCA say the forums for women of color to have those discussions are lacking. But with events like today's tea party, they hope to open safe intergenerational spaces to have those tough discussions. Mimi Chahaman, SABC News, New York.
Wow, wow, wow. My goodness, that video is from 1984 and that was Love Will Find a Way by Stimela. Wow. Now, September marks our Heritage Month in South Africa. The month-long celebrations recognize aspects of South African culture where South Africans express the diverse heritage through all types of artistic mediums, of course. Now, because of this, I have in studio a phenomenal, legendary musician whose music career began way back in the 70s, probably even before. One of the founding members of the band, popular until today, Mr. Ray Phiri. Oh, fantastic to have you here. Thank you so very much for coming to Phiri.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to see you here, and you're still looking so good. We were talking about this off air, that the golden years seemingly are treating you well.
I guess it comes with the territory, because I'm a happy person. Once you're happy, everything turns out beautiful.
Sure.
I hate being pensive. Or if I'm pensive, then I'll start having lines on my face. But
you're right.
Even though there are lines on my face, each and every line tells a story.
Of course, of course. And that story, I mean, from the 70s, from the time when you started out in this industry at a tumultuous time, a very, very, the time in South Africa, and the mood for musicians was absolutely, I mean, we can't even fathom some of the things that you went through. Tell us about, the coming together of your brothers as the group Stimela, and what it was that drove you guys.
I would say that the need for knowledge, the love for music, and the respect for the people is what created Stimela. As the Cannibals, who were a group of the 70s, but I started in the 60s, late 60s, 1967. Next year I'll be celebrating 50 years of being a professional musician. So I'm telling my age.
Are we invited? Are we invited to the celebrations?
You will be. So, I guess it's the volition that came from our need to want to be the voice of the voiceless that gave us hope. And we learned a lot. And so fortunately, South Africa gave us a lot of ideas. South Africa gave us ears. South Africa gave us the stage to perform and say the things that we said. Until up to now, we're still saying that.
And we were also, having a chat about the differences between, we do have so many great and legendary musicians in South Africa. But of course, the things that you guys went through as the people who were here during all the days, you never went to exile and were out there, fighting a cause in a bit of a different kind of way. So the dynamics there, when you say the musical knowledge and the history, you can, you have a timeline, you were physically present.
I would say that quite a lot of our forebearers from your Manhattan, Botambuza, and then the second generation, which happened to be Huma Sigela, the Jazz Apostle, or the Brotherhood of Man, it carried on until we had an opportunity in the mid-80s that we started getting out of South Africa, because we had a need to close the gap that they left. But by so doing, don't forget that some of them have been away for more than 30 years. So 30 years is not child's play. You will miss a lot of things happening there. The potency, even the articulation or the new culture that is happening in the country will mess you up a bit. So now it's about time that we must converge, complement one another, share the little knowledge that we have, and be wise old people that have to lead the younger ones.
That's the thing, right, about leading the younger ones. Music has changed immensely. The world has almost shrunk because of globalization, because of, social media and the internet, of course. And when it comes to, obviously, our pool of South Africans, are they open and receptive to the wisdom that many of you have? Are you working with any of them? What are your thoughts on them and, the path that they're following? Because, of course, and a few have gone astray and maybe emulated people overseas, but they're seeing that, hey, this is the place of beginnings.
This is where we always differ with a lot of people, because I'm of this notion that each and every generation has its own heroes.
Okay.
We must encourage them to have voices that says something about their age group and grow. The only thing that is not great is when they have an attitude towards others. That is the only time that we have problems with. There are a lot of very talented young people who are writing, in a new way. And what they are writing is great. But I would love to see more of them coming up with their own bits instead of having to buy bits from the internet.
Right.
So you will see that we're developing a culture and a language, and we're writing history.
Yes.
Because what we articulate is what our nation needs.
Yeah.
We are the life and soul of the nation.
Very,
and
very
our
true.
responsibility is to always think about we, not I.
Yep. Yeah, very true. And well, I mean, of course, definitely. I mean, looking at some of the videos that are playing right now and listening to that, I think every single generation has, whether it was on a Sunday, whether it was on a Saturday, at their home, their uncles, their dads, this is music we grew up on. What do you feel when you see this and you say, wow, you know, I'm still alive, I'm still here?
I count my blessings, and I'm thankful that I've had the opportunities to have touched a lot of people's hearts, and I'm still touching a lot of people's hearts. I'm still staying in their minds.
Yep.
I'm accessible.
Yeah.
I don't need no bodyguard. I'm me.
Yes.
I was created by the nation.
Fantastic.
So I will always be accessible to them. Yes, it makes me feel a little bit shy. I talk too much. Because I get paid for talking too much. I wouldn't be a singer if I wasn't.
Of course, and we're so grateful for that. And September the 10th, you have a one-night reunion kind of performance out at the Baseline. Tell us, where can people get all the information for that? I mean,
I would say that one of commercial radio stations, which I cannot mention by name because I'm on the SABC platform, they formed partnership with the Baseline.
Yeah.
And they decided to honor me. And I said, no. If you're honoring me, then let me honor those that I've worked with in my life.
Friends, yeah.
So Ray Phiri and friends is the people that have enriched me with their immense talent, from your Louis Mhlanga,
wow,
the McCoy Mrubatas, the Paul Henmas, you name them all. I can even invite people like Hot Sticks Mabuse to say, hey, come join
through.
me.
And you will come, yeah.
Because it's a celebration of our coming of age.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We look forward to that. It will certainly be a night to remember.
Not forgetting that it's 40th year of June 76.
Yes.
That needs to be celebrated in all its forms, and including, we just passed on Women's Month. Now we're heading towards our heritage. What is it that we're saying about our heritage?
Yes. Thank you so very much, Mr. Phiri, for all your musical heritage that you have, imparted with us, the nation, and even internationally. And thank you so very much. I'm sure all the Afropolitans will be out there celebrating this fantastic evening that it will be. Stay tuned. Trendz is back after the break. I've had such an amazing time with Mr. Ray Phiri. Welcome back. You're still watching Trendz. Now, the Market Theatre in downtown Johannesburg has kicked off its month-long heritage celebrations with a line of theatre productions celebrating the country's different languages. Now, Trendz visited the theatre hours during rehearsals of a Sesotho play called Mosadi eo Neileng, meaning the woman you have given me, directed by Selwane Lalu Mokuku. Now, the theatre production highlights themes of finding unconditional love, perseverance, and self-discovery. Have a look.
Set in the 50s in Lesotho, this theatre production is about a woman called Tseleng who lost her parents at an early age and is raised at her uncle's home. Her aunt Matitaba ill-treats her and constantly reminds her that she is a useless orphan. But Tseleng withstands all the hardships that many people in the village witness without intervening. Her role is played by Pulane Rampwane, who says she also identifies with Tseleng in reality.
My role is the central character that's layered as many women. Her name is Tseleng, and Tseleng means somebody that can't sit in one place. But there's a lot of women in Tseleng, be it bad, good, humble, anything you can think of. Actually, let me not go far. I'm not very far from Tseleng.
The production will also be accompanied by a solo exhibition called Heroines of Southern Africa by Kgetla Chipape Mogato. The exhibition celebrates the leadership excellence of women in Southern Africa. Directed by female director Silwane Lalu Mukuku, she takes us through the concept of having this production.
The title itself could actually be misleading because it is actually showing us a woman in a different light. Most of the time, especially in Lesotho, the plays that were being written then, many women were evil and stuff like that. But Mema Kgetla, who's the playwright, was able to usher this new, I would maybe call it a patriarchal abuse of the plight of women. But she even argues in the play that women are actually very powerful. Well, she says second to God is women. But I always tend to think that it's not necessarily them and us. It's not about othering anything, but it's about embracing both in a way.
The production will premiere next week, Thursday.
Ons moet 'n pek zijn. Ons eie gangster om onsself te protect.
Dit was de vader.
Sy in is. Sy in. Sy kan nie uit nie. Dis my broer, Ivy. Al die tyd, my Mita. Al die tyd. As man vang, man staan.
You know? Stick for that chapter, the young ones.
Jy moet waaksaam wees, Abra. Dit te cool.
Luister, ons weet van jou en jou gang, young ones. Ons het 'n pik gesien. Man vang, man staan. Nou staan man vir julle eie notas, man.
Ons is die young ones. Dat is wat die lady te sê.
Ek kan stories vertel. En briewe skryf.
Maar weet, die seker sy vertel 'n kwaai storie vanaand. Môre is jy oor.
Vandag vat ek vir julle op 'n boottrip. Die is ook nie bandiete of nommersie. Ons meet in die mine. Ons gaat reg deur die dak. Een in die kop, twee in die bos. Gams val agter op 'n plat op sy rug. Die boere, hulle gryp vir dop. Hy wil weer vinnig in Gams se rigting.
Sien maar sy is.
Jy nie wil hoe gooi jy my. Stap saam lees. As jy 'n probleem nie. Ek onder jou protection en stiek wapenag en sy aanvallers.
Wow, powerful, powerful trailer there of Nume Skoli, a true big screen cinematic experience that will keep viewers spellbound in a world that has never before been depicted in such an authentic way. Now, the film released this weekend, yeah, it's at cinemas currently, and will resonate, you know, with all South African audiences, but particularly those who are able to confront the violent reality of the world of the story and are willing to celebrate the triumph of the human spirit. Now, we have in studio with us lead actor Dan Jacques Mouton and producer David Max Brown to tell us more about the film. I hope I pronounced your name right.
Oh, yes, you were spot on.
Thank you. Pleasure having you here, gentlemen. Welcome to Trendz.
Thank you.
And my goodness, maybe I should start, so you were the producer of the film. And it's taken a while to get here. We're talking about the post-production process and the fact that it's not so easy in South Africa. But what was it about this film in particular that you said, you know what, this story needs to be told?
I think, you know, it's been interesting because John Fredericks, who wrote the story, and it's about his life, you know, has been, you know, on TV and radio recently and telling his story, and obviously in the film, but everybody who hears his story is actually spellbound by it. I think I was just lucky enough to hear it first, you know, or to hear it. I mean, he probably told lots of people, but when he told me, I was, you know, really taken by it. And and just could sort of imagine that, you know. Well, when he first gave me the story, it was actually a trilogy. It was like,
okay.
But he actually had these 3 scripts that he,
wow,
you know.
So how does that all then get truncated into one 90-minute experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With difficulty.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But look, it's taken a while, but we had the help of the National Film and Video Foundation, and all sorts of people have come on board over the last sort of, I don't know, 12, 15 years or something, you know. But I was very sure, like every time you read another draft of John's writing, you felt more in it, you felt more authenticity.
Right.
It got better and better and stronger, and you just felt wow. And so I think it was the right decision to say the man who lived the story should write the story, rather than finding another writer.
Of course.
Because a lot of people said, you've got the story, now find the writer. But what was so good as well is that, you know, what John's done, which I think particularly touched me, is that it's a very exciting plot, you know, there's lots of action, crazy things happen in the film, you know. But what he's done is create a story that really touches your heart, you know, that finally is really uplifting as well. So when you come out of the cinema, you're like, wow. You know, we screened it in the first screening of the film was in Pollsmoor Prison.
Really? Okay.
And we screened
what was the reception there like?
Yeah, we screened it to like a ton of, you know, prisoners and warders. And they all really liked it. It was really interesting to see the warders as well being so touched by it.
Sure.
You know. So, yeah, I think everywhere we've screened it so far has just gone wow. And the prisoners, particularly, were like, you know, wow.
You know,
like the authenticity of it. You know, we really tried very hard to recreate the '60s. It was crazy, actually. A low-budget film, you're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to make everything simple with 2 actors and one location. And we went like big, you know.
Go big or go home.
But it's the story that's carried it, you know. It's the story that, it's, you know, what happens in the story is one thing, but the way that it affects you, the emotion of it,
and
is
that
the real
is
story.
key when you have
know.
a film. You know, you want you want to have people who watch it take, you know, something away. It needs to resonate in that authentic way, as you say.
Exactly.
And so, Dan, you're one of the lead actors. And you've
the
just
lead actor.
The lead actor. A brilliant performance, just from what we can see. And just take us through your character and how did you, you know, immerse yourself into this role? Because I imagine you didn't have the kind of life that, you know, the lead had.
Yeah, but I knew the world. I grew up in it, as I said, you know. I grew up in Cape Town, so I kind of had an idea of, you know, this character, who he was, and what he stood for. And suppose through the text give you already a lot of information. But you use, as an actor, I think you use different things to assist you to get to a point where you feel, okay, I can embody this guy. I can walk in his shoes, as it were, and then I can.
Did it give you that sense of coolness? Were you like?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the costume, you know, plays a big role. I maintain for some actors, you know, you build character from your shoes up. So you start with the shoes, and then, so if you know how to walk in the shoes, then it kind of affects the whole body.
Fantastic.
And then
that's
from there, then you use the costume as well to also sort of inform it even more. The plus for me was, because John was on set, so I could try and extract information from him, which wasn't always easy at times, you know, because it's quite difficult to get into his psyche, or at least, no, but I mean, to understand the character psyche, you know what I mean, and understand the situations and what he was feeling at the time. And so for me, that was useful. So there was many things that assisted me to, I suppose, to deliver such a performance, and not forgetting my fellow actors.
Of course,
crew and everybody that was on board.
I'm sure the casting process, you know, was, of course, is one of the things that makes this film. So big congratulations. Will it be heading out to any film festivals overseas, or?
We're really concentrating on getting the South African audience to see it first. And then we'll see how it kind of snowballs. We're hoping that it'll really go big.
Fantastic. Congratulations, sir, on your film. Nume Skoli. You said it means what?
Well, call me gangster or call me thief.
Call him gangster. That's your new hashtag. Hashtag call him gangster. Thank you so very much, guys, for joining me here on Trendz today.
Thank you.
Fantastic movie. I hope audiences will go out there and support. We are always 250% behind South African films.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. Trendz is back after the break. Welcome back. You're watching Trendz. The expression of the art is slowly gaining momentum in Egypt. In the country's capital, Cairo, 2 photographers launched Ballerinas of Cairo, a project that aims to spread art in public spaces to encourage the love for ballet. And in another traditionally conservative city of Minya, still in Egypt, a ballet school attracting young girls in the city opened its doors as well for the very first time. Let's take a look.
Inspired by Dane Shiitake, a New York City-based photographer known for creating and photographing the popular Ballerina project, founders of Ballerinas of Cairo have taken to the streets of the Egyptian capital to introduce young girls to ballet. With pointed shoes and elegant dance moves, these ballerinas are creating a spectacle in an environment where this form of dance is not popular.
When we decided to make a Cairo-based version, the purpose behind it for Mohamed Taher and I was to spread art in the streets. We don't see people playing music, painting or acting in the streets. So the goal was to mix the elegant art of ballet with the unique buildings of Cairo.
The project, comprising of 10 ballet dancers, has garnered a lot of attention, with posts being shared on social media websites. Marina Bahei, a dancer, says some people get shocked when they see them dance in the streets of Cairo.
Some people stare, some are surprised, others are slightly confused. Some people in Mahdi were encouraging us, but overall no one harasses us or says anything mean. It hasn't happened to me, at least.
In another city in Upper Egypt, a ballet school opened its doors for the first time, bringing many young girls closer to their dream of becoming ballerinas. Al-Wanati Center in Minya has been offering lessons in acting, drawing, dancing and musical instruments since November 2014. Last year, the center started to offer ballet lessons due to strong support from the children's parents.
We started to survey parents who brought their children to the center, and we find a lot of support from them to begin a ballet school.
Founder of the ballet school says he and his acquaintances opened the center to provide talented young individuals with an opportunity to further develop their skills. But the craft is still frowned upon by many.
I'd always wanted to learn ballet, but I couldn't because there was no place in Minya for me to do so. So when Al-Wanat Center opened, we were happy. But my parents at first did not allow it because we were old, but we tried to convince them that our friends had joined and that they were happy.
Students attending the ballet classes at Al-Wanat range between 4 to 21 years, and members pay a symbolic fee to help keep the center running.
Nice one. Now, Africa's leading contemporary art expo returns to the Sandton Convention Center this year, and it promises to be bigger and even better. Running from the 9th until the 11th of September, the FNB Joburg Art Fair is open to all creatives and will feature over 50 exhibitors from over 70 countries. I'm now seated here with, from the Black Collectors Forum, Lauren Ijeoma, welcome, and also Tshepiso Mashala, and you are project director of the fair. Fantastic to have you here, ladies, looking fabulous and lovely and colourful. It is spring after all,
it
as
is
I
spring
said.
After all.
Yes. Let's talk about, the art fair, and it has been going on for many years. So what is it that will, make the 2016 one even more distinctive?
Okay. Just to correct you, we're not part of the organizers of the art fair. We are from the Black Collectors Forum,
who will be exhibiting at
yes,
the
we have a booth at the art fair.
Yeah.
Yes, the BCF Lounge.
Okay.
And we had an exhibition in May that featured a number of artists from around the continent, and we're taking part of that exhibition to the art fair. Being and Becoming, Complexities of the African Identity.
Oh wow, Being and Becoming. Yeah. And how many artists from your Black Collectors Forum Lounge will be having their works on display?
We have 6 artists, one from Ethiopia, one from Mozambique, 2 from South Africa, and 1 from Angola.
Wow. Okay, so so let's talk now then, being the project director of this fair, and the fact that art is actually growing. Every other week there is something or the other to do with art. And we're celebrating, Heritage Month in South Africa, so all of that ties in lovely, very well.
Yeah. Okay. So we the project is called African Contemporary Art, and it was initiated 5 years ago, in collaboration with the Department of Arts and Culture. So that's where we initiated the project. Right. And in 2013, we felt it was important that to bridge the gap in the marketplace and start targeting young black collectors and also emerging collectors in South Africa. And we launched what we call the Black Collectors Forum. So basically it's widening access within the visual art space and creating that accessibility of people to come and view art and start investing and collecting art.
Okay. Yeah. And just what are some of the themes? And when it comes to contemporary art from and out of Africa, what are some of the themes, in general that are being presented through the artist's canvas?
I would say issues such as race, gender, of course, socio-political issues. Artists are all the time talking about things that are happening within their own environments and around the globe. So those are some of the themes. And directly, this particular exhibition addressed those sorts of things, race, gender, and particularly for South African audiences. The visual arts sector is still not, as broad as it should be.
Yeah.
Not,
really?
Not a lot of voices. Not a lot of people in the playing field. So
okay, wow. And of course, from this, there's, I'm sure, a lot of networking sessions, and people will get to, get to know of what art in other countries throughout the continent looks like.
Yeah, exactly. I think given the variety of artists from the continent, from the organizers of the Johannesburg Art Fair, and this is why we felt it was important for us to be a part of it, so that we can create that accessibility of people to come and view art from East Africa, West Africa, and see what they can collect from other galleries as well who will be exhibiting at the fair.
Right. Has the fair always been at the Sandton Convention Center?
Yes. And it's,
okay, well, I'd like to ask, though, regarding that, would a different space that, of course, the Sandton Convention Center houses many different kinds of events, but something like this that has to do with, African art and how it's viewed, and, would maybe in future years a consideration be for a different kind of venue that has a lot more emphasis on the continent?
I'm not sure I can answer that question because we're not part of the
maybe it's a visa. It's a visa. I'm just thinking in my mind, because of course it is an international kind of venue and it can house, I'm sure, all the people that need to be there. But I think there could be some other venue that is.
Are you saying the Sandton Convention is not really a suitable venue for?
No, not that it's not suitable, but I'm just saying we have so much and that's diverse in this country. Places that even now during Heritage Month will be, there will be different events all over. So I'm just in my mind thinking, in future years, could it be that maybe the Sandton Convention Center won't be the only place where the Joburg Art Fair is? Because for some people, some artists in Limpopo who is struggling to get to Johannesburg and even just navigating Johannesburg North, it might not be that accessible to them. You know what I mean? So.
I think that's a very good question. Part of what we do with the African Contemporary Art Project is exactly that. It's a touring art exhibition, which we are also targeting during Africa Month. We target different, in May. We target different venues where we try to make contemporary art to be accessible to different audiences.
Fantastic.
So this year we had our exhibition at the UNISA Art Gallery. We've been, UNISA Art Gallery, they've been hosting the project for the past 3 years. But what we did from last year onwards, we had satellite events. We had one in Gibbs, where we were targeting your affluent business people through the Black Collectors Forum. And we also had an event at Museum Africa. So this year, it was also, the main exhibition was at the UNISA Art Gallery, but we also had another
event in Soweto,
which is the Africa Day Festival.
Fantastic.
But what you're asking is very important. We need to make it accessible
to everybody in every corner. Yes. Thank you so very much, ladies. We have unfortunately run out of time, but it's the F&B Joburg Art Fair 2016, and it's the 9th to the 11th of September.
And we're in booth 02. at the fair.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies. Now, female artists dominated at this year's MTV Video Music Awards held at Madison Square in Manhattan this week. Now, R&B sensation Beyonce, of course, Queen Bee, walked away with 8 awards, while Rihanna, on the other hand, received the phenomenal Lifetime Achievement Award, the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award at the age of 28. My goodness, kudos to her.
English singer and songwriter Adele's Hello was the most nominated video with 7 categories. However, Beyonce dominated the awards with 11 nominations and prowling the stage with a 15-minute medley from her album Lemonade. She performed 5 tracks from the album about betrayal, revenge and female empowerment in a song and dance routine that brought a long-standing ovation. The singer took home 8 statuettes for Best Female Video, prizes for choreography, editing and long-form video in the awards that are voted on by fans, and not forgetting the top prize of the Video of the Year that she also bagged. On the other hand, Rihanna performed 4 times to make a Lifetime Achievement Award, the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award. She sang 13 of the biggest hits in her 13-year career, including Rude Girl, Diamonds, and Only Girl in the World. On a night when women ruled, Britney Spears returned to the VMA stage for the first time in a decade since her humiliating 2007 performance when her personal and professional life was falling apart. The performance also came after her recent release of her new album. Many of pop music's biggest names, including Justin Bieber, Britain's Adele, and Taylor Swift, were absent on Sunday.
Hello, you're watching Trendz. Now, flashing light installations are something that we seldomly see in the hype scenes of Johannesburg. So a light and technology block party is certainly one for the books. Timologong between 10 and 5 and the Creative Africa's Future Sound project, led by the Goethe Institute in Johannesburg, have collaborated to bring out installations, projection mapping, games and music, all made from light. Now, this digital installation gave the precinct streets to life, and because we never miss anything trendy, of course, Trendz was there.
The 3rd annual Fagugesi Festival is coming to an end. The Digital Innovation Festival had a massive light installation on Thursday at the Timologong Innovation Hub in Braamfontein. The concept and the role of knowledge systems in technology were explored through this year's theme.
The Fagugesi Festival is about bringing creativity and technology together, and also making technology accessible to young people so that they can make technology their own. This year's theme is Afro Tech Riot, and basically we're very, very inspired by young people in the country who are standing up for themselves, who feel that they've been forgotten about the sort of present government, and who want to be noticed and who actually want things for themselves. And we feel that they're the generation that are going to take on technology into new places in an African way.
In launching the Timologong precinct, between 10 and 5 and Create Africa's Future Sounds collaborated to create this bright lit technology party and provided an array of light-based concepts.
So tonight is part of kind of a global movement around light, 3D projection mapping, art, light-based sculpture. There's a ton of these events all over the world, and we thought that it would be amazing to have something like this in Joburg and South Africa as well. So tonight is really a prototype event to prove that there's an interest for it, that there's artists that can do it, and that people want this really. So there's a whole bunch of different things happening tonight. There's live performances that have been recorded and are being projected onto big buildings. We have 3D projection mapping. We've got small light-based sculptures that you can touch and light other things up. And then there's, of course, the amazing music lineup as well. Original Swim Party's created new things for tonight. Moonchild Sanele is going to be doing an amazing set later on. So there's really like a mixture between music and art and light and technology, yeah.
Okay, so Future Sounds actually pays homage to a documentary that Lebo and Spook Matumbo did a few years back called Future Sounds of Mzansi, and we did a project with them last year where we fused tech and arts and try to reimagine what the future sounds and music would be of South Africa. And that's kind of evolved over time, and now this has been a project with the Goethe Institute, and I'm from a collective called Create Africa along with Nathan Gates and Nunta Sashuba, and we brought together 20 people of varying backgrounds, tech, performance art, musicians, some engineers, and we put them in an incubator for a week to see what they'd come up with, and tonight you're seeing the fruits of their labor after a week of working together.
First Thursdays always promise a turn up in Braamfontein, but this kind of party is like no other.
Wow, quite a diversity, you know, this is quite interesting. I think this is a bit more of a niche that the youth need. Youth and anyone else actually trying to just find a new feng shui.
Oh, it's amazing. I walked in here not expecting anything. I mean, I'm from Cape Town, came through for the weekend, and got a random invite to this festival / party. And yeah, I was amazed by especially the local gaming scene and the indie game designers that they've done.
Now, censored when the revolution could not be televised. That is the theme for the 13th annual Mosquito Music Conference and Exhibition, which is set to take place from the 7th to the 10th of September right here at the SABC. The theme for this year highlights those who use their voices to pass on messages of those who are marginalized, prevailing topics of socioeconomic and political issues, and are put to the attention to the stage of the rest of the globe through music. I'm now here with a Mosquito board member, Mr. Lance Ster, a man who has a wealth of knowledge and experience also in the music industry, and he's here to tell us more about this year's conference. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Sure. Fantastic. And as I was saying, you know, this conference, it's about, you know, bands, brands and business. But the theme, yes, the play on words, and just, you know, it almost is what will draw many more people, because we do want to know about the revolution that could not be televised.
Well, I think we're living in a climate where one of the things that happened pre-apartheid was that there were a lot of artists that were involved in dismantling apartheid and voicing their opinion out against the previous regime, the National Party. Yeah. And I think we're getting to a point now where I think artists have also got to understand what their role is in society and what messages they can put out
and it's
there.
Not only about the I. We had Mr. Ray Phiri here earlier who said it was about we.
Yes.
You know, it's about the collective and what is in your music that will be the legacy that, you know, 50 years from now, the youth then will be saying, okay, from their musical, you know, heritage, this is what was happening in the times, you know, in South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that if you're into the business of music, if you want to understand it, there are people that are coming from around the world that participate in the conference.
Right.
There are managers, there are record companies, there are publishers, and they all congregate here at the SABC. And there's the conference happens from the 7th to the 10th.
Yeah.
And while the conference is happening in the evening, there are various festivals and performances happening from, I think, over like 100 artists that are spread around town.
Johannesburg, yeah.
So from the Melville, there's the street festival there to Zone 6 in Soweto, and also the Johannesburg Theatre.
Jeez, all right. And some of the, you know, musicians from the international or even the Pan-African artists who will be coming through, could we, like, well, some of those, I know Sipho Sithole will be, you know, the facilitator, and you also have Mr. Roger Lucy, who was who's a SAFTA Lifetime Achievement winner. And in terms of just, African acts that are coming through to be a part of Mosquito, can you tell us who some of those will be?
Yeah, we've got a range of acts, right? I think if you go to the website,
all the information will be there.
All the information is there in terms of when the different acts. The first night, we've got a range of acts. They've coming from all over Africa.
What are you looking forward to the most about this particular year of the conference?
I think just in terms of what Sipho Zotolo has come up in terms of the theme of it, for me, it's talk about censorship, you know, music getting out there, artists with voices, right? And then also for artists to actually find out more about the business of music.
Yeah, that's always important, of course. And just, you know, a question that I did have for you earlier off camera also is, every year that this happens, the you know, contacts and connections and networking that happens, and the resolutions maybe to say, okay, this is maybe a path that we need to take and we need to do 1, 2, 3. Are those implemented and implemented well from year to year? Is there a body that keeps track of all that happens after each conference?
I think this is the 13th year that the Mashita conference is happening. And through the people that are attending, the international people, managers, publishers and record companies, you will always see that the contacts that people make, right, you'll always find there's an artist that manages to perform in another country via those contacts or deals or releases, etc. So Mashita is the Midam of South Africa, and Midam is the big music sort of conference that happens once a year in France.
Yes, yes. All right. And just for you personally, Lance, what would you say is your hope for South African music looking forward 10, 50 years from now?
I think what is great, obviously the 90%, the quota system, which we've been fighting since 1992, right? And it happened. That was quite amazing that we now have 90% of South African music played. For me, what would be great is that if that was implemented in commercial stations, because that is actually where the problem is.
But then that comes as well now into the business of it, because some will say, but as a business model, can it work?
Of course it can work.
Yeah.
Right. It just happens, I mean, there's a lot of stations, a lot of SABC stations that were playing over 70% of South African music before.
Yeah, and we are loving it. We really, really are loving all the South African music that is played, because there is so much from every single decade. Thank you so very much, Mr. Lance, for coming through, letting us know about the Mashita Music Conference, and it will be from the 7th to the 10th of September.
The 10th,
Thank you so very much.
All right, thanks.
And now let's take a look at all your local and international entertainment news that have made headlines this week.
In a landmark announcement that is set to shake up the comedy industry at home and on the continent, the Savannah Comics Choice Awards and long-term partner Savannah Premium Cider launched the Savannah Pan-African Comic Choice Award at a media event at Monte Casino, Johannesburg on Thursday, September 1st. The Savannah Pan-African Comic will officially form part of the awards in 2017 as its newest and 12th category. The award will go to the comic on the continent who has contributed the most to the African comedy industry, as voted for by his or her fellow African comedians. This year's main awards show takes place on Saturday, 3rd September. On Valentine's Day 2013, the world woke up to the shocking news that SA Olympian Oscar Pistorius had shot and killed his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp. Now, 3 years later, a similar story is being told by SASF group Die Antwoord in their new music video released this week. The video for the group's new single Banana Brain was released on Wednesday and features a number of scenes that draw similarities to shooting of Reva Steenkamp. The group's frontman Ninja is also seen throughout the video wearing prosthetic limbs similar to those worn by Oscar. The video has been viewed nearly 500,000 times since its release and has been featured by a number of prestigious international music publications, nearly all commenting on its hallucinatory and questionable content. South Africans will get a glimpse into the lives of doctors who have to deal with 30-hour shifts, trauma cases, casualties, short-staffed emergency units, and long queues of irate patients when the documentary Documentally Last Doctor Standing premieres at the Jozi Film Festival this month. The film is set mainly at Ngwelezani Hospital in Mpangeni, KZN, and features doctors from diverse backgrounds working in the emergency, pediatric, trauma and surgery units. Filmmaker Francois Well is a chartered accountant by trade and is married to a doctor. This inspired him to commence filming in May last year.
I got Frank Ocean is the top musical act in the United States, debuting at #1 on the Billboard Artist 100 chart. Ocean supplants Drake, who had led the list the past 6 weeks and has totaled 21 weeks at #1. The Artist 100 measures artist activity across Billboard's most influential charts, including the Billboard Hot 100, Top Album Sales and the Social 50.
Fantastic. And that is how we come to the end of another episode of Trendz here on the SABC News channel. Thank you so very much for joining me. We're playing out with the legend who I was joined by today. I'm so honored to have had Mr. Ray Phiri here. Enjoy your weekend and see you next week.